to a Chandler's channel. I'm Tracy, your host, and today's session is our intuitive weekly reading for October 14th to 20th. So if that's what you're here for, please stay tuned. I'll go get Whitehawk in just a moment to touch on what's going to happen in our upcoming week. But I always like to touch back on our previous week. And although the last couple of weeks have not really been about things that are going to happen in the week, it seems that Whitehawk is coming to us about and giving us tools that will help us through the week. So last week, we got a bit of a slap on the hand about the way perhaps we treat people, and that we have to learn to try a little tenderness. And I think that can go far and wide in our life. Everything from, for me, for instance, dealing with children, it certainly works very well to try a little tenderness. In fact, it works much better than screaming and roaring and yelling, right? For others, maybe it's working with a coworker, or maybe you have a family member who's down and depressed and can't get up. Or anything just to deal with people in society when we're at grocery shopping, people in line or something like that. If you try a little tenderness, it's going to go a lot further than ruling with an iron fist, if I can say that. You know, what do they say? You catch more bees with honey than you do vinegar. There that's in the end what it all kind of comes down to. So let's continue to try a little tenderness, and no, not try, because there is no try. There is only do. So, isn't that Yoda that says that? There is no try. So don't try. Instead, let's just give a little tenderness. And indeed, I've seen the results just with my own children. Okay, so let's move on to this week's reading and see what the lovely Whitehawk has to say to us for this week. Indeed, he says. What can be said about the upcoming week that has already not been said before? And some of us are like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, this is repetitive again. And others are like scratching our head like, I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. Like, what the heck is going on? And he goes, what the heck is going on is I'll tell you what's going on. Indeed, he says, it has been a difficult month energetically, as we spoke of at the beginning of the month. But we also spoke and told you that there would be times throughout the month that would shine and that there would be light. But for the most part, it has been a difficult month. For many of you, has it not been? And some people are like, yeah, but you know what? Like, we came here for good news. We came here for news to help us propel us to know that we're going to get through this, you know? And Whitehawk's, yes, I understand that. And you can go to anyone else, he says, and they can tell you and shower with you with positive affirmations, he says, but what I'm telling you and teaching you is of the energy that is occurring temporarily. And a lot of us are really actually really happy with that word temporarily, because that means it's not here for a long time. And he says that is correct. But it is an energy that is here, and we need to deal with it in order to move through it and onward from it, he says. And so that is why I come to you every week saying, listen, it's going to be a tough week. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be obstacles. But together we can do it, and we can get through it. And a lot of people are just like, you know what, poppycock, like, I've had it with you, Whitehawk, you know, that's not what I'm here for. And he says, okay, indeed, I understand. Perhaps it is time for us to part ways. Perhaps I am no longer serving the purpose in your life. And I can accept that, he says. But can you? And for those of us who are remaining here and listening and trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel, he's like, yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, Tracy and others. There really is. But not without some feeling so-called beat up, with some beating upness, he says. He says, it is a time of trouble. It is a time of fortuitousness, he says, but we will persevere and we will get through it as a nation. And so you are all still wondering, well, what does that have to do with this week? I really would like to know. It's not really told me much. And he says, I will tell you what it has to do with this week. And me, Tracy, like, I know what's coming out of his mouth, right? And I'm the one that's supposed to report it, and I'm going, oh my God, like, I'm tired too, Whitehawk, of reporting this crap. Like, I really don't want to report this. And he says, I know, I understand. But we must. So I go, okay. He says, the week ahead will show an atrocity like none have seen. Or the week ahead will have an atrocity none the likes of you have seen in a while, he says. But that is okay, little ones. For we will persevere as a nation, as a force. We will move forward from this atrocity and many others. We will move forward as a nation. So be blessed in this newfound knowledge. And again, he says, do not sit in the fear or the worry of what is coming, he says, this week. For indeed, he says, there is nothing you could have done to have stopped it anyways, but allow it. So it's like the energy, that's like this big energy, not cloud, but you know, like, gosh, I hate to say it, you know, like I'm seeing like this big, you know, when Hiroshima went off, the big nuclear explosion, right? So the vibration is felt from very, very far away, like it's an explosion. So you feel that vibration as it works from the inside all the way out, right? So you feel that. So that's what I'm seeing. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a nuclear explosion. Please don't go there. I'm just showing much in the way as an explosion works, the way it works its way out. He says, yes, indeed. I believe what you are trying to explain to our friends, he says, is that we indeed will feel at some level, on some level, he says, the explosion that is going to occur. And in doing so, and in being so, he says, we will feel it at the very core of us, at a very molecular level, he says. And indeed, it will affect us. Now, some of you, like I can see it, I feel, like, are you saying like we're going to have burns? Are you saying like we're going to be down and out? Our children are going to be down and out? He says, no, what I'm saying is you're going to feel it on a molecular level because the whole world is connected, and therefore you will feel it inside yourself. I'm not saying you're going to burn. I am not saying you're going to die. I'm simply saying because of the connectedness in life, you will feel it on some level. And for those of us who says who are empaths and feel much more than others around us, we will feel it much deeper. And so he says, and so now you're asking me, so how am I going to feel that? How is that going to come to me? And then therefore, how does it affect me? He says, I will tell you how it will affect you. It will affect you on a very deep, unconscious level. I was like, what the heck does that mean? Or how does that affect us then, if it's unconscious? Aha. Just because you cannot see it, nor feel it, he says, consciously, does not mean it is not affecting you. Does not mean that it is so-called juggling things up within you to bring it up and out to move us forward as a nation towards peace, towards happiness. And that is what I am trying to express to you here, children, is just because it happens way over on the other side of the world does not mean it does not affect us on a molecular level. For indeed, it very much does. And we're going, well, how can we check in with that, And he's like, well, if you hear of something such as an earthquake or a travesty that's occurred on another side of the world somewhere, he says, or just in another state or province or somewhere in the ocean, he says, take a moment, ready yourself, quiet yourself, he says. Check in with your body. What feels different? What's arrived maybe in the last 24 hours, he says, that wasn't there yesterday? He says, indeed, this will take some practice, he says. But with all good practice, he says, comes results. So if you continue to practice, he says, you will see the results and you will understand them. What I'm trying to teach you is just how connected we are. And although something very horrible has happened on the other side of the world, and no, it doesn't affect you as physically or as mentally or as emotionally as it is affecting those people right in the vicinity of, say, of an explosion, he says, I'm teaching you that you do feel it on a molecular level within your body. That is how connected we are. Do not be afraid by this message and information. Simply become aware and experiment, he says. Journal and refer back. There's a lot to be said and had, he says, through journaling, through recording of events and how our body feel. He says, be blessed with this newfound knowledge, children. See you next week. God bless, he says. And then he's joking around. He's like, I'm Whitehawk for a Chandler's channel. And he gets on his white horse, as he always does. And he leaves and up the shore. So funny. Thank you, Whitehawk. He says thank you, and he's wearing a cowboy hat, because he comes as a cowboy, and he takes his cowboy hat off, and he goes, you're welcome. And hi-oh, silver he goes. Yeah, like he's a Lone Ranger or something. Out to do good in life, right? Out to do good. Bit of a rebel, but out to do good. Well, that is our interesting reading as always. It kind of started off slow there, like there was not really going to be much, and then all of a sudden there was this teaching of our body's wisdom and the connectedness of us in the world. So pay attention, write down what you feel. Like, for instance, today I have a backache. So I'm going to pay attention to that. For me, myself, I'm going to go into that backache and see why it's arrived here. And I'm also going to pay attention to what's happening in the next 24 hours, but also what happened in the previous 24 hours. Because sometimes it can arrive ahead of an event, and sometimes it arrives after an event. So that is one way you can sort of learn to calculate it. And again, I say have fun with it. Don't be serious with it. It'll come to you. You'll understand it. There's a little bit of scientist in you there that has to go back and forth on it, but you'll kind of get to know it. All right, so our next video is Thursday with Whitehawk's Wisdom, and our topic is going to be on attention deficit disorder, ADD and ADHD. I haven't decided if I'm going to do both at once or two, so tune in on Thursday and see what Whitehawk has to say about these disorders. All right, go out there and journal and record, and let's see what our bodies feel in the world, what's going on. All right, God bless. I'm Tracy for a Chandler's channel.